Streets are on fire in 2023, and with a recently crowned a new champ, it's Alessandro Pantoja. The fact that you have big-time prospects making their debuts like last weekend, Azat Maxim going 17-0 out of Kazakhstan coming up this weekend. A little bit of fresh flavor. We have the rookie out of Spain, Daniel Barez, and he's going to be taking on Pastor Jafel Filho. And listen, even though Mr. Pastor Filho out of Nova União, he may have lost his UFC debut. He took that one against Muhammad Mokaev back in London's 02. Filho had the craziest non-submission submission that I've ever seen locked in with a knee bar against Mokaev in the second round.
My goodness.
Only to then lose by submission himself in the third. So Filho looking to level up, looking to get that first UFC win. And both of these men came in off a contender series. For Jafel Filho, an awesome fight against Roybert Echeverria. And now this time against Daniel Barez, who lost on 2021's Dana White's contender series against Carlos Hernandez. It was a split decision loss, but Barez looked great in the first round. Kind of tailed off a little bit in the second, kind of pulled guard, looked for a submission early in the second round, and after that, it was all Hernandez. But if you look at Daniel Barez since 4 wins in a row, and all 4 of them by finish against a paltry level of competition, and I can break them down in great detail, but when you go back and you watch Daniel Barez tape, it very much is a clash of styles. He likes to get it done with the jiu-jitsu. He's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu brown belt training out of Entram Gym down in Mexico for this fight. But Barez, man, getting it done with the hands, loves to dig the left hook to the body. You saw him go to that well in one of his recent finishes time and time again. But out of those 4 fights, I counted 8 knockdowns in his last 4 fights since he's left the UFC. And Daniel Barez, he knocks you down, and then if he's able to get the finish, whether it's with his ground and pound or his submissions, he's very, very special against the black belt in Jafel Filho.
And you know what I really like about Barez? His aggressiveness does help him blend his own striking along with some of his grappling, because he really does like the left hand, not only in the left hook to the body, he likes the jab to the head too. He does have a very snappy jab when he is throwing it, but that's the thing for Barez. In the fights where he's having a lot of success, the jab normally is a very big key to his whole arsenal. But if he's kind of getting away from it and just sort of throwing feints from the outside and not really allow his jab to set up the rest of his game, it does really hinder the rest of him. I always go back to that quote that Chael Sonnen said about Michael Bisping. He goes, okay, when the UFC tells you you're going to fight Michael Bisping, you're a little worried, right? Like, he's really good at everything. He's got great cardio. So you kind of have to break it down bit by bit. And for Chael, he figured out that Michael Bisping set everything up with the jab. And he goes, okay, if I get rid of the jab, we don't really have to worry about all the other kind of scarier stuff that he's able to do. For Barez, it's not as essential to his game because, like you bring up, he is much more likely to go to the ground. And the thing about Barez too is he's got a great right hand and it snaps quite well when he is able to throw it. There's not a lot of extra fat on it, and with his forward approach, I think he's going to make for a really interesting fight against Filho, who we do bring up quite a bit. He does get off to a bit of a slow start, especially on the feet. He'll be a little bit hesitant. Now, if you go back to that Echeverria fight, just watch the third round, because once he is able to get those training wheels off and he is able to get into second and third gear, he does show a lot of very promising skills, and you bring it up, I'm very glad you did. The knee bar that he almost had against Mokaev, lesser men would not only have tapped, they would probably never be walking the same way afterwards. So for Filho, I really hope that people don't just look at his last performance and kind of discount all the positives that come along with it, because yes, he lost by submission, but he is an extremely talented grappler himself, and you only have to go back and watch his regional fights to kind of remember that.
And I mean, you look at it for Filho, 13 of his 14 wins by finish, and you consider it, he is a practicing pastor, so very interesting to mix those two, martial arts and an almighty higher power. If you do look at it for Jafel Filho, I mean, you consider his last matchup, you look at the fact that last weekend, he was supposed to take on Juan Camilo Ronderos. On June 27th, Team Iridium announced that Daniel Barez had been signed into the UFC, and then on that same day, it was a big Marcel tweet. It's like a Woj bomb, a big Marcel tweet about a fight booking, Barez taking on Filho. So somewhat a short notice. Barez as well, and I'll throw it up there, training a little bit at Tiger Muay Thai for this one. So interesting there, getting some of that cardio work in, getting some of that sparring going. But again, going back through those performances, as I said, he's won 4 in a row. He had a lengthy layoff from his pro career, building his way up. We know he had that loss to Manel Kopp years ago, a loss to Mikhail Siklander, who we talk about all the time, it seems. He's on everybody's record.
A lot of recognizable names on his resume.
But for Barez, a really tidy run, loses to Hernandez, who's 2-1 in the UFC and looked amazing against Dennis Bondar recently. And then Barez with these 4 wins. The level of competition coming on to Dana White's Contender Series. Combined opponent record 44-19. The last 4 wins 37, 39, and 1. His last time out he took on 14-12 Solenis Carvalho, the former UWC champ. And again, it was a strikes to the body. It was 1, 2, 3 leg kicks at the start of that fight that dropped him. He ends up getting it down to the mat. He ends up getting the finish, but it's his hands to get it down to the mat, not really his offensive wrestling. His fight at Naciones MMA 3, the same card as Edgar Chairez. Barez's main training partner for Chairez's last short notice camp against Taira, but as well for Barez's fight here. In that one, he took on an opponent that looked like a little atomweight, little Hernandez, and he was a very, very small man. Barez walks him down. It's that left hook to the body. He dropped him 3 times in that matchup before he ends up getting the TKO due to ground and pound. So again, the strikes of Barez has been highlighted. For Jafel Filho, you saw it against Echeverria. It's that check left hook. It's the fact that he will throw out some kicks and mix them in there. He's heavy on his lead leg, and he doesn't check his own, he doesn't check leg kicks at all. He tries to grab at a lot of his opponent's leg kicks, then get the takedown. It scares me in certain matchups, but Filio's one of those guys. Novo and Yao, you've seen the pictures with Jose Aldo. He can get it done with a striking as well. We look at this matchup, Matt. It's a coin flip as far as the odds are concerned.
Which is understandable.
I'm really eager to see where the Tapology votes are because we talked a lot about Barez, but man, you got to give Filho his props.
100%.
I'm going to say that they're probably pretty close, and I'm going to say over-under. I think the fans are going to go Filho. 60% Filho over-under.
I think they'll be over.
I think they're going to be over. Oh my lord.
I didn't think they were going to be that one sided.
676 total votes, 88% Filho, 29% by decision, a large proportion, 58% by submission. For the 12% that have Barez, 41% by knockout. And if you only watch these two guys on Contender Series, you think, man, Filio's the striker, and Barez, he struggles with some of his takedowns. So who do you have in the pick in this one?
I do have Filho. I do feel like his game complements itself a little bit more, if that makes any sense. We have seen the grappling from him definitely in the past, and I like the submission ability. I don't think Barez is going to be able to go in there and just have his way with his own aggressiveness. I don't think he's going to be the one who's going to dictate, okay, the fight's on the feet or the fight's on the mat, because I do think the BJJ of Filho is enough of a threat to where he's going to be really hesitant about taking it to the mat. So for those reasons, I've got Jafel in the matchup.
I have Daniel Barez in the fight. I really do like the striking and the fact that he likes to go to the body a lot, whether it's with the kicks, whether it's with those left hooks. And I mean, when he goes left down and then he throws his right hand up there, that right cross is very, very zippy. So watch out for that. Split on the pick in this one. I have Spain's Barez, Mac going with Brazil's Jafel Filho. Some big time fights in this card, including the heavyweight marquee, the return of Tom Aspinall taking on Poland's Marcin Tybura. You are not going to want to miss it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.